Is this rotary attachment tool actually any good? I'm gonna let you know what I think, so stick around. Hey everybody, welcome. If this is your first time here, my name is Roy. If you've been here before, welcome back. We are glad to have you. This channel has talked almost exclusively about sublimation in the past, but we recently added a laser to the mix and I'm really excited about it. I've never done lasers before, so this is all brand new to me. If you're brand new to the laser community or you're thinking about getting a laser, this is definitely the channel to watch because I'm gonna start from the beginning. Everything I learned, I'm gonna document, we're gonna put it on videos, and I encourage you to watch the videos, and if you have any questions, don't think it's a silly question. I can almost guarantee you somebody has asked it before. Leave the question in the comments to the video. I'm gonna write down a list of questions, and we're gonna address all of those questions in future videos. So this really is meant for the beginner or the person just thinking about getting one. I can tell you right now, I've had this about 2 weeks. I introduced product from this machine about a week ago and I've already made a few $100s, and that was only for leather patch hats and slate coasters. So I am confident this is going to generate a nice income. That's only 2 different products and I just put them out. So I'm looking really forward to that. Let's get back to the laser. xTool was nice enough to send me this F1 along with the purifier and a couple of really cool accessories that we've not talked about yet. The first accessory is the F1 slide extension, which I'm really excited about talking about, but we're gonna save that for a future video so we can have an entire video on the extension. What we are gonna talk about today is the xTool Rotary Attachment 2, or the RA2. This gives us the ability to laser onto cylindrical objects, tumblers, anything round. So let me get this out of the box and we are going to hook it up and see if we can laser something round. Okay, let's see what is in this box. We have the user manual. You know, I am continually impressed with the packaging for all xTool products. So we're going to get all of this out and then I will figure out what it is and we will try and put it together. Okay, looks pretty cool there. Okay, I have taken all of the things out of the amazing packaging and there's lots of stuff here. I gotta tell you, I at first was a little overwhelmed, but I think I figured everything out. So here's what I believe I've determined. There are several cables. This cable is for, let me see, is for the M1 and the P2. So if you have an M1 or P2, you can use the rotary tool for that. These are for the D1 and D1 Pro, and this is for the F1 and the S1. This is the one we'll be using today. I will tell you there is, this isn't symmetrical, so we want to be real careful when we plug it in. So out of the box, this comes, let me back up. So this operates, excuse me, so this operates in 2 ways. One way is using a chuck and one way is using the rollers. It came out of the box with these rollers. I have done just enough research to tell me that this is, for a tumbler, the rollers are not quite as sturdy, especially if you're going to do a second pass. And we are going to do a second pass to clean up our design, but we'll get to that a little bit later on. So what I want to do is I want to remove these 2 rollers and add this chuck. Before I do that, this is, there's a lot of stuff here. There's a couple of tools that they've got. There's a level that they give you. This is, I believe, and we're going to do another more detailed video on this down the road. I just want to get it up and running. But if I'm not mistaken, this is, if you're using the rollers, you can raise and lower this if the substrate, the tumbler, sticks out further. It'll help hold it. That's what I believe. This, I have no idea every fiber of my being wants to lick it and stick it to my forehead, but I'm pretty confident that's not what it's for, so we'll figure that out later. What I am going to do though is I'm going to remove these rollers and I'm going to add the chuck. To remove the rollers, I'm going to undo a screw down here and I'm going to pull this roller out. Now I will tell you there are 3 different lengths or widths that you can have these rollers. So it's on the furthest width now. You can have it come in really close or a little bit further out depending on the size of your substrate. But what we're going to do is we're going to take them out. So we'll do that by removing a screw here, pulling this out, then removing this screw, which normally this one would stay in this position if you were using the rollers, but we're going to take that out and then it will just be flat metal. This is really good quality, by the way. Then we're going to take this, oh, and this is the motor right here. So the motor normally will operate these, but we're going to take those out. We will attach this is the chuck attachment. We'll attach it right here, and we will take this little round thing and put it into the motor, and it will use this belt to turn the chuck. And these are the little arms that we'll put on the chuck to be able to hold the substrate, in our case a tumbler. And of course there's a chuck key, and then there's a tape measure, which I'm pretty confident will not fit around my waist. I actually have something that I'll show you in a little bit that I like a lot better than one of these, although they're fantastic. There's some screws to put this stuff together with. There is also, and we're certainly not doing this today, but I can't wait to try it down the road in another video, are these attachments which I believe screw into this chuck attachment so you can do the insides of rings. So that's pretty awesome. This is a pretty darn versatile machine. So let me switch out the roller for the chuck and then we'll catch back up. This seemed much more intimidating than it actually was. These rollers did come out. The one that is movable to the different sections, I unscrewed a bolt at the bottom or a screw at the bottom, it pulled out. The second one is a more permanent one, so after unscrewing it, it's connected by 2 very small screws that when I saw them I was like, I want to lose these. I haven't yet, but they're very small screws. You unscrew those and then this piece pulls out. And here's the good news. I figured out what both of these are for. This we're going to talk about later because we're going to try something. So I'll explain this in a little bit. This is actually, if you ever have a tumbler that starts a smaller circumference and grows larger, which a lot of them do, that's what this is for if you're using the rollers. This is not for the chuck. I've got the chuck attached now, but for the rollers, you set this down and see how it's going to be. It's going to lay low. You take this and you set the cup on there and you can increase or decrease the height to make that level. They thought of everything, didn't they? This is fantastic. So that's what this is for. This, very cool, we're going to get to later. So putting the chuck on was actually very, very easy. Exactly how I said it would happen. These pieces screwed in fine. This connected fine, everything super, super, super simple. What I am going to do is I'm going to take all of the parts and pieces and I'm going to put in this bag. So instead of losing the small pieces individually, I'll lose the whole bag probably. Anyway, I just want to make sure everything gets put in here. These pieces don't stay on, so I certainly don't want to lose them. So everything's going to go into a plastic bag. All right, now let's very quickly, this is the tumbler that I'm going to try to use. I have no idea what it'll look like engraved. We're going to try it. And so what you do is put the tumbler into the chuck. I've already increased it big enough to be able to do that. And then I'm going to make sure it's laying flat against that, and I will go and tighten it until it gets nice and tight. That looks pretty good. So there it is. We're going to attach it to the F1 and connect it, and then we'll go to xTool Creative Space, put in a design and see if we can make something pretty. I've attached the one end of the cable to the rotary attachment, which was very simple. And then we're going to attach the other end to the top of the F1, and we just want to make sure it goes in the right way because it is not symmetrical. Okay, so that's in. Now what we want to do is take the base plate off and set it beside, move this out of the way, set it beside the tumbler so it'll level everything off, beside the tumbler attachment, so it will level everything off. Then we're going to set this down on those two. There are 3 sets of lines on the base plate of the F1. They are for the different options for the roller, but since we're using the chuck, we will position this plate of the rotary attachment to line up with those two. Yeah, we'll position that to line up so it is level and in line with the machine. I want to make sure that my cable's out of the way here. Now we're going to turn everything on. We'll go to xTool Creative Space, pick out a design, and see if we can get it on this tumbler. I am going to create a new project, and then I will import an image. I've got my Frankie image that I'm going to import. It's too large. Yes, we'll scale it to fit. And this is my image. Now what I want to do is I want to trace it because it's currently an image and I want it to be a vector file. So I'm going to hit save, and then I have the vector. You'll see vector over here, and if I click back on this, you'll see it was an image. And I can delete that image, and then I can go back, and here is the design that I want. Now I'm going to click out of that space. It defaults to laser flat, so I want to click on laser cylindrical, and it's going to ask me if I'm using a roller or a chuck. I'm using a chuck, so I'll click on that, and then it's going to ask me for my perimeter or diameter. And let's go and measure it real quick. xTool does a wonderful job in that they include a cloth tape. I will tell you, get this, it is fantastic for measuring circumferences. It's like the fabric tape, but it's peel and stick tape, and it's got up to 12 inches, and then it continues on, and it's got a stickiness to it. So when it stops getting sticky, you just cut it off and start at a new one. So it's really, really, really great to, let's pull this out a little bit and measure this. And I can put this right on here, and it just sticks. And then I'm trying not to get in the way of the camera, and then I come right here, and this looks to be 8 5/8. So let's get this back situated, and we will go back to Creative Space. So we are going to input our perimeter as 8.625, and then what we're going to do, I'm going to come back here to this, and I'm going to see what size it is. I want it to be pretty big on there, so I'm going to do maybe 3.5. I'll just do 3.5, so that's 3.5. And then I am going to center this, and let me make this a little bit smaller. And what I want to do is I want to find that center. Well, first off, let me go and rotate it. So I want to go -90, as this is the direction of the opening of my cup. So I want it facing this way. But now I'm going to want to center this. I do actually have a small logo on this tumbler, so I want it centered to that logo. So I'm going to go over here and insert a rectangle, and I'm going to take that rectangle and put it up here out of the way. Make it very narrow, and then I'm going to move it to a new layer, and then I'm going to take it and I'm going to move it to where it's centered at about the center of my Frankie Say Relax. And what we'll do is we'll frame according to this. So let me go back to Frankie. I need to make sure that that's on engrave first off. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the design that I want to put on the tumbler and I'm going to ignore it because I don't want it to frame that, and I'm going to hide it. So this is what I want to frame. So we'll click the framing button and it will rotate to where that image is supposed to be. And I can see when it rotates that it is not quite at the center of the logo. So I want to keep adjusting it almost so that when it rotates, it's gonna be right at the center. That looks just about right. Try it one more time. I don't know if you can see the logo right here, but what that's doing is finding the center for that small rectangle. Okay, now that we have used this rectangle to center it, I am going to click on it, I'm going to ignore it, and I'm going to hide it. So we don't need it right now. So we'll go back to this layer and we're going to change it to output. We had put it on ignore so that the machine would ignore it when it was centering. And then we're going to do 2 passes. We're going to do 1 pass with the blue light, and that's going to get the majority of the coating off. And then we'll follow up with a pass, a run using IR, and that'll hopefully clean everything up. So our first pass, we're going to use 80% on the power, and let's do 400 on the speed, and I'm going to do 200 on the, you know what, no, let's do 300 on the lines per centimeter. So once we've got that set, we know we're framing, we will go to process and we will hit start and hold our breath and let it go. Okay, here it is after the first pass. It looks fantastic. It's centered correctly. So we want to do 1 more pass with IR. So let's run back to Creative Space. Okay, so we finished with the first pass. We're gonna now go back to our settings and click IR. We will do 40 as our power. We'll keep it at 400 for the speed, and we'll keep it at 300 for the lines per centimeter. And I will tell you, I got these times, both of them, from a fantastic xTool video. I will leave a link in the description to go and definitely check that out. Okay, so we don't need to worry about framing. We have not touched the tumbler. Don't touch the tumbler because you don't want it to shift or move. But we now want to, with those settings, go to process and we'll hit start and let's give it a shot. Okay, that is it, and it looks pretty darn good. Let's take it out of the chuck and see what we got. Okay, so it came out great. As a reminder, I'll put a link in the description for this peel and stick ruler tape. It really is fantastic. So it looks great. Frankie Say Relax. There's a little bit of residue left on it. I've heard people use rubbing alcohol. Barkeeper's Friend is supposed to be a really great one. Right now I am just using a little bit of water and it's coming off pretty good. I'll probably follow through with a little bit of Barkeeper's Friend. down the road to get it completely clean, but it's looking really good with just a little bit of scrubbing. I'll clean it up and we'll get one more shot. So came out fantastic. You know, I believe I would have been better off getting a darker tumbler and you would have been able to have seen it, but that little hack to center it worked out fantastic. It is certainly centered in between that logo. So remember earlier when I said I had figured out what to use this for? Well, we're going to use it. There's a little track in here where the rollers went, and this fits in that track. And it will scooch up here so you can do something round. So what we're going to do is try to do this little T-ball baseball, see if we can get a little logo right here using this. Turns out that little suction was not for your forehead. Who knew? Anyway, I'm going to take this, slide it onto here, and tighten this, and then we will try to put a little logo on there. So we are going to set this to a power of 50. I'm going to do a speed of 100, and we'll do 200 lines per centimeter. I already framed it up using the rectangle as a center. So now we want to process it, hit start. And I think it is done. Let's take a look and see. I'm going to loosen this piece here. I don't know if you could hear me. We're going to take a look. It came out fantastic. It's backwards, but not bad at all. Too funny. I cleaned up this tumbler a little bit and it looks great. Very first tumbler ever. This thing's pretty simple, that's for sure. It looked really intimidating. When I took the rotary tool out of the box, there were so many parts and pieces, and the directions were maybe too simple for me, but it turned out to be quite simple to adjust and change the rollers to the chuck. And I figured out what to do with a little suction cup thing, which this is fantastic. It came out backwards, I think because I had flipped the thing around, and I flipped it around because this motor was touching on the side. So I got to figure that out, but if you look at it in a rear view mirror, it's fantastic. And so certainly there are so many things you can do with this rotary tool. You know, I knew that it would be cool to do the tumblers, but it was so easy. I mean, I've never done this before. I opened it up, I took a look at it, and grabbed a tumbler. I didn't test them. Matter of fact, I was afraid I was gonna have to go back to Walmart and get me another tumbler. So it came out perfect. The centering little hack is fantastic. It worked perfectly. I highly recommend this accessory, and don't forget, coming up soon, we'll do the extension table accessory video as well. I really hope that you enjoyed this video on a newbie using an xTool F1. Fantastic machine. I highly recommend it. There is a link for the F1, an affiliate link in the description, as well as links to a lot of the products that I use. If you haven't subscribed, definitely subscribe to the channel. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Click that notification bell so you will know when new videos come out. More than likely, there'll be an unboxing or about this laser or about sublimation. I'm gonna do it all. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Have a great day. This is it. This is it. This is where you're doing it. This is where we're going. We're doing it. Anyway, thank you. Hey everybody, welcome. I could have gotten 3 of these and showed you how well I can juggle. Hey. Stick around, I'll let you know.
Attachment. I'm attached to it.
Hey everybody, welcome.